Hello, this is Dave Lee Travis, and welcome to another edition of Top 10 Bikes. Throughout the series, we count down the top 10 bikes in a particular class, scoring them for image, style, practicality, performance, handling, and value for money. Today, we have the top 10 sports middleweights of 2002, rated by our Men & Motors panel of experts. Kicking us off this evening is the Kawasaki ZX R600, here at number 10. When the ZX R600 was first launched, it was the fastest 600cc sports bike in town. Lots of ZZRs were raced, just to prove the point, but time waits for no man, or in this case, bike. The ZZR was too soft and too heavy to stay on top for long, and was subsequently passed by more dedicated sports bikes. The ZZR's other claim to fame is it was the first 600cc bike to use ram air forced induction to boost power. This bike is a good all-rounder. It has sports bike handling, but also provides enough comfort and weather protection to make it a good mile muncher. Around town, it's light on its feet, tyres, and on the motorway, it's happy to hitch up its skirt and sprint. The ZX R6 has plenty of power and good brakes in case you overdo it on the power. It's not just the rider's bike either. It has an adequate pillion seat too. That should keep the other half happy. The finish is superb. It won't dissolve in the rain, which means you can use it all year round. The ZZR weighs in at 195 kilos and the rear suspension is a tad soft, which all adds up to a sports tourer rather than out-and-out sports bike. Let's find out what our panellists thought.
They've been going for absolutely years. Used to be the fastest sports 600. They're regularly clocked at 150 mile an hour plus.
Fine in its day, but its day was quite a few years ago now. Again, if it's cheap, it will do. But if you're looking for something that's at the top of the tree, you'll have to look somewhere else.
It is, or at least it was, a great bike. It's, in all essence now, it was too old, not really sporty enough. This is a tough category, and there's some great bikes there.
Our panel of experts have scored the Kawasaki ZX R600 67%. Roaring in at number 9 is the Kawasaki Raptor 650. Stealing its looks from Ducati's ever-popular Monster, the Kawasaki has set out to redefine motorcycling, connecting rider and machine with its pure physical presence and superb handling dynamics. Kawasaki have made an absolute belter. The Raptor comes complete with a little devil that sits on your shoulder and tells you to open the throttle just a little bit more and a little bit more. The engine is from Suzuki's SV650, but retuned for more mid-range. The exhaust emits a throaty growl as you rev the eager engine, and the bars tug invitingly at your arms as you sneak up yet another gear. The handling is so sharp it puts a guillotine to shame. The wide bars and steep brake mean you can turn this bike on a 10-pence piece. The ride is good and firm, which is ideal for handling, but a little uncomfortable over potholes at lowish speeds. This bike is for blazing through a set of twisties with a manic grin and Carl Fogarty eyes. The only slight downside is the massive tacho and the tiny digital speedo. Why not have it the other way round? Here's what our panellists thought.
Not very pretty. Build quality is a bit suspect on this Kawasaki. The engine's very good and it handles very well.
Great little bike. What Kawasaki did was take the SV650 motor, Suzuki, slot it into a sort of a lattice work Italian frame, kind of like spaghetti but thicker and made out of metal, and then give it a real sort of menacing, sort of hunched forward sort of look.
You feel as though you're on one of these strange journeys, this funky shaped speedo. It's great. Again, it's Italian styling at its craziest.
The Kawasaki Raptor scored 75% from our panellists. In at number 8, it's the Triumph TT600, as British as cucumber sandwiches. The TT is billed as Triumph's highest performance bike to date. It's fast, agile, and will hold its own on track or road. It also has the privilege of being the first in its class to be fitted with full computer-controlled fuel injection system. The handling is mighty fine, but the TT has been badly let down by its looks and a huge flat spot in the mid-range. The fuel injection system has now solved the flat spot problem, but this may be too little too late to redeem the Triumph. The chassis is based on a twin-spar aluminium frame with Kabaya front forks and monoshock rear. Both front and rear are fully adjustable, so you can set up your TT just how you like it. The ultra-lightweight cast aluminium wheels all add to the TT's fabulous cornering neck. The brakes have been lifted straight from the Daytona 955i. They're aggressive yet controllable, you'll be glad to hear. The TT's school report card would say, could do better. Sorry Triumph, it's not your best effort. So what do our panel think?
The TT600 is without doubt one of the best handling bikes in production. The only thing is, Triumph kind of made a few sort of mistakes with the engine and the fuel injection system.
The TT was lambasted for its looks and its power delivery when it was launched. Triumph have now sorted that out. It's got a sweet handling chassis and the engine is now pretty good. We just wish that Triumph would stop putting those great big long exhausts on them because they make their bikes very ugly.
Triumph have to be applauded for going into this really tough marketplace. This is the hardest sector, and to be honest with you, the TT600 falls short. Not because of the handling, because of the old fuel injection problems and the fact that it looks like a 10-year-old design straight away.
Purring in at number 7 is the Yamaha YZF 600 Thundercat. Yamaha built the Thundercat to compete head-to-head with the CBR 600. Unfortunately, it didn't quite match up. For Yamaha, it really was only a stopgap until they launched the R6, which really did compete with the CBR. So, to save on cost, Yamaha basically modified the FZ R600R. They gave it a different bottom end, lighter parts, bigger carbs, and a new ram air intake to give the engine a bit more pep. The chassis is the Yamaha favourite Delta box. The brakes have been inherited from the Thunder Race, no problems with stopping there. The Thundercat is a good all-rounder and boasts the comfiest pillion seat of any 600cc sports bike. It has aggressive styling and a relaxed riding position. The long-distance fans out there will be searching for a petrol station after only 120 miles due to the 19-litre fuel tank. Bit of an oversight there on Yamaha's part. Thundercats can be picked up second-hand for good money. They're about $1,000 less than an R6. Bargain hunters will be the cats that get the cream as far as this bike is concerned.
Thundercat's getting a little bit old in the tooth now there, that one, dated styling. Super performance still though, but by virtue of the fact that there's much better that's currently available.
How bizarre, someone in Yamaha decides to name their bike after some kid's cartoon thing from the 80s. I mean, why? But there you go. I mean, it didn't really put off a lot of the owners. I mean, what they got for their money was a very good, comfortable 600 middleweight, which actually is quite spacious.
Bit long in the tooth now. This 600 class moves so quickly that if you're a few years out on your design, you're nowhere. Still a good buy if you can get one cheap enough.
The Thundercat scored a respectable 81%. Number 6 in our countdown is the sexy Italian Ducati 748. The only changes Ducati have made to the near-perfect 748 has been adding the fairing from the 2001 World Champ winner, the 996R. The improved aerodynamics is a bonus on the already awesome 748. This beauty has a finer sense of balance and more harmonious handling than the powerful big-engine bruisers further up the Ducati range. The Desmoquattro engines pump out high-revving power and guarantees heavyweight performance from a lightweight bike. The broad power band puts the power down something lovely, and the throttle response is as crisp as a frosty morning. Suspension is fully adjustable with Showa upside-down front forks. The rear monoshock is also fully adjustable, so it can be set up for any riding style. The Ducati is not a commuter bike in any way, shape or form. It's a track day treat or a sunny Sunday machine, not a comfortable commuter. This bike should come with a health warning because it's addictive. Once you've ridden it, you will be hooked. Let's see if the Duke hypnotised the panel.
Ducati, street cred, way up there. Comfort factor for someone like me, maybe not so good, but really it's one of the bikes to own within this category.
I have to say I'm a little bit biased because I own a 748. It's a fantastic track bike. I think it handles and turns slightly better than the 996 and maybe the 998, but it's the noise and the looks that get me.
Many journalists have written that the 748 is better than the 916 or the 996, and it's kind of because, you know, you've got a smaller motor, so you need to make the most of the chassis, and the chassis is absolutely superb.
Our panel have scored the 748 82%. We're halfway through our chart of sports middleweights, but please don't go anywhere or you'll miss all the fun. There are more motorcycling delights to come. definitely see you after the break. Welcome back to Top 10 Bikes. I'm Dave Lee Travis, guiding you through the top 10 sports middleweights of 2002. At number 5 is the Yamaha FZ 600. The Phaser can only be described as a bitzer. Bits of this, bits of that. But look which bikes its bits have come from. Brakes have been donated by the R1. Engine and chassis have come from the Thundercat, so in a way it's not a bad pedigree. The Phaser engine gives instant response and mind-numbing acceleration. The Phaser has a bit of a hooligan reputation. It just begs you to thrash it. The ground clearance is superb, steering smooth and responsive, brakes like a demon, tons of revvy power. Now, if you like to put a bike on its back wheel, then the Phaser is up for it. It'll also happily hound sports bikes through the twisties. The 2002 Phaser has a new nose fairing with much sharper lines and new headlamps. Your fun can last longer with the bigger fuel tank that's been fitted. Sizzlingly sporty handling, vicious brakes and lots of power. It doesn't look half bad either. Costing less than the Bandit, it's ideal for you cash-strapped would-be Evel Knievels out there. The fun-to-ride Phaser, but what did our panel say?
If you wanted something to pull you out of bed early in the morning, you could rely on the Phaser being there. You could set the clock and the Phaser would come and do that job. It isn't devastatingly exciting, but what it is dead reliable and absolutely great value for money.
You've got space under the seat for a U-lock. You've got a fuel gauge which works well with a fuel light. You've got a clock on it. You've got a little fairing. Exceptional little bike. A real do-it-all bike. You can tour, you can scratch around back lanes on it, and you can commute. So a real value for money machine.
This bike was a revelation for me. I had one for a year when they first came out. Wasn't expecting to like it. By the end of the year, I didn't want to give it back. Such an unassuming bike, but it has good levels of performance. Good brakes, good engine, good package.
Our panel of experts gave the feisty Phaser 84%. In at number 4 is the Yamaha R1's little brother, the Yamaha R6. The Yamaha R6 is a complete Looney Tunes out-and-out sports bike, and it doesn't pretend to be anything else. But why should it? Little brother to the R1, all-out speed is what we expect. The R6 has a short wheelbase chassis and extra long swinging arm. It's lightweight and has a free-revving engine aimed firmly at the performance-minded riders. Last year, the World Supersport winning R6 got sharper. It has new lighter forks and brakes, the latest engine internals and a new racing seat cowl. This machine is begging to go fast. It was built for just that, and that's what it does best. Track days and A-roads are where it's most at home. There's no point buying an R6 and then using it for popping to the shops. It won't thank you for that, I can assure you. Even the updates made are more in line with racing than road riding. Yamaha have added better mirrors and under-seat storage, but that's all. The chassis is stiff and compact, good enough for the World Championship, therefore good enough for you. The forced ram air induction boosts peak power, and the stacked transmission shafts keep the engine compact. Buy an R6 and ride it hard, otherwise there's just no point in having it.
In the last 2-3 years since it was introduced, it's been either top dog or second. This is a very good bike, very revvy engine, excellent handling. When you ride this well, you feel like you're really on it.
Probably at night, all these Thundercats go back home and they turn into an R6. And the R6 is just completely balls out. A real sort of, almost a mini version, like the 748 is a mini version of the 916 or 998. The R6 is like a mini version of the R1.
The choice of champions, it's won a couple of World Supersport titles, unfortunately not this year. The R6 is probably the best track bike from all the 600s.
So the speedy R6 Yamaha goes in our chart at 85%. So that leads us nicely to our number 3, the GSXR 600. The GSXR 600 is another crazy sports bike. Let's have some tech talk to start with, shall we? Right, the 2002 model is 11 kilos lighter, 25mm shorter in overall length, 30mm shorter in overall height, and the fairing has been modified to reduce aerodynamic drag by 4%. Very impressive. Ready for some more? The GSXR has a larger bore and shorter stroke to reduce mechanical losses at high RPM. The compression ratio has been increased. and the fuel injection system is now similar to one used on the GSXR 1000. Now the important stuff. How does it handle? Like a dream is the answer. The GSXR can be slung from one side to the other with minimum effort. You can change line mid-corner with just a nudge of the bars. It behaves like a race bike. You can throw it around without any hassle and without worrying about the suspension catching up with you. The Gixxer is surprisingly stable, largely due to 51% of its weight being over the front wheel. It's a completely focused sports bike and is ideal for thrashing on the track. This little 600 is capable of chewing up and spitting out most big-bore sports bikes, so don't be fooled by the fact that it's only a 600. When our panel stopped drooling, they had this to say.
An absolutely stunning little bike, really is. Really sharp for the track, so it's maybe if you do a lot of track days, you might want to go more for the GSXR rather than, say, the ZX6.
The baby Gixxer of them all. Maybe for some it's a bit too on the edge, a bit too out there. Very good buy if you're really looking for something that's going to push you and make you a better rider.
The power delivery is way up top, as it is with all of the 600s. I really do find that it screams. Also on a personal level there's little comfort, but certainly as a track bike and people riding them on track days, boy, they do handle and they do go.
86% score for the Gixxer 6. The runner-up at number 2 is the Honda CBR 600. The CBR 600 first appeared on the scene in 1987 and changed the whole idea of what a sports bike can do. The CBR has to be the most flexible of the bikes in this top 10. Now if you fancy a top commuter, a top tourer or a top track day toy, the 600F can do the lot. If you want the out-and-out racer, then go for the CBR 600 FS, which is a setup firmer and more responsive for race-style riding. The CBR has it all. Sensible centre stand, a comfortable pillion seat and grab rail so you don't lose them off the back. The aluminium dual spar frame has been improved with reinforced castings. This improves rigidity and gives a stronger swing arm pivot for improved handling. Fuel injection is now standard on the CBR, same as other 600s, as it allows more precise fueling throughout the rev range. The chassis is well set up and inspires confidence as you sling the mini blade around. The brakes are capable of making you headbutt the clocks, so beware. The front forks are a little soft and can be bottomed out if extremely hard braking's called for, but if you've got the hang of rolling stoppies, you'll know how best to deal with it. Being a Honda, the build quality is second to none, and reliability is not a problem. The term good all-rounder could have been coined for this bike. The CBR can do it all.
This is the 600. It has been ever since launch, and it's probably the bike that will do everything. It'll tour, it'll scratch. It's just brilliant.
For people who want a slightly harder edge and more of a sporty CBR, Honda realised that in sort of 2001 that what they needed to do was build something that was a bit more sports orientated.
CBR 600 is just the complete 600. It's my number one 600.
The CBR 600 scored a very respectable 87%. As you wait with bated breath for number 1, let's run down the top 10 so far from 10 to 2. At 10 it's the Kawasaki ZX R600. In at number 9 it's the cheeky little Kawasaki Raptor. The Brit is in at number 8, the Triumph TT600. At 7, the thunderous Thundercat. In at 6 is the other Italian, the Ducati 748. The frightening Phaser takes the number 5 spot. And in at 4 is the R1's little brother, the Yamaha R6. At 3, the mental GSXR 600. And not quite making it to the number 1 spot is the CBR 600 at number 2. So, time now to reveal our top sports middleweight. The stealthy ZX6R Ninja has stolen the number 1 spot. Kawasaki had the fabulous idea to overbore the ZX6R cylinder by 2mm. Not much you might think, but it makes a big difference to the power and torque. The overbore has increased mid-range dramatically and given the top end an extra 6 brake horsepower. They also revised the cylinder head to make it more like the race bike head. The ZX6R has really taken the super sports class by storm and roughed up some of the regulars. The chassis hasn't been changed at all for 2002. The front forks are very stiff, but slight changes have been made to give them a smoother action. The ergonomics of the Kawasaki aren't bad either. For those of you who want to take this year's model racing in the Supersport 600 class, you can forget it. The old model is still homologated, and Kawasaki intend to run it for the next few years. This is a versatile bike, just like the CBR, but since it's at number 1, it must be that little bit better. It's the best all-rounder of the 600cc class and deserves to be at the number 1 spot.
Absolutely splendid little bike. Great on a racetrack, even compared to some of the more sort of cutting-edge sports rivals in the 600 class. Excellent bike.
It's a fantastic machine. All of the 600s are a bit thrashy these days. You've got to really, really rev them to get the best out of them. But having said that, that makes the riding a challenge. And of course, if you get it right, then you really can move on these machines.
It's one of those 600s that's a bit bigger than all the rest, so if you're a bit tall or a bit broad, it'll fit you better. Beautiful bike, and with the new 636 engine, got a bit more torque, a bit more power to play with, so a very nice bike to ride on the road.
So the Kawasaki ZX6R takes the number 1 spot with 88%.
Well, thanks very much for this award. We've just got back from the launch of the ZX6R. Obviously, I want to thank Menon Motors. I want to thank the journalists that voted for the bike. We took the journalists to Malaysia. They loved the bike. They loved the radial brake calipers. They loved the fuel-injected motor, 125 horsepower. Kawasaki likes to think they invented this class of bike in the first place, way back with the GP-Z600. This is the latest incarnation, and we think it's a range leader, and this maybe shows that it is.
We've come to the end of our countdown of top 10 sports middleweight bikes for 2002. Thanks for watching. Join me, Dave Lee Travis, next week for another chart of top 10 bikes.